There's a term in real estate that's constantly being used, and that is that of a motivated seller. But what does it actually mean? Well, at the end of this video, you'll know exactly what motivated sellers means, and I'm going to put one on top of it. I'm going to show you even another term that's called the non-wanters, which are people that absolutely so don't want the property that they're willing to give it away almost for free. So stay tuned to find out how this all works. So what does motivated seller actually mean? So here's the thing. If you want to buy a piece of real estate at a discount, why would the seller give you that discount? The only reason they give you the discount is if they have some kind of a motivation to sell the property fast, to get out from that deal, and to get rid of that property. Now, that motivation can come from many different places, but the key is for you to uncover it and then utilize it to help get the lowest price possible. And sometimes that motivation is so big that you can actually get properties for $100. So let's jump right into how that works. So let's unravel or unfold the subject matter of motivated sellers. What are the motivations that make a seller of a perfectly good house or perfectly fine lot or piece of land give you that deal for 30, 40, 50% below market value, or in some cases even 80 or 90% below market value? Well, here's a list of them that we have found. There's really an abundant list. It's a never-ending list, but here's like the top 5 or 7. Number one, and that particularly happens in the housing world, is they lost their job or something financially happened in their life that makes them unable to pay their mortgage. So they're inching faster and faster towards a foreclosure where they can lose the house, they lose any equity left in the house, they lose their credit, it destroys their credit for the next 7 years, and basically it destroys their entire financial life. Well, a seller like that is willing to take really whatever they have to accept in order to get out from under that deal, have the mortgage be paid off, and really save their credit, and ideally walk away with just a little bit extra money in their pocket. Well, that's the classic motivated seller that every house wholesaler, house rehabber, house flipper is going after. It's that person that's on the mortgage delinquent list, basically that just can't pay their mortgage anymore. But there's so many more people that actually are also motivated. Sometimes divorce forces sale, right? If you go to divorce, the spouse that's left over in the house can't afford to pay the mortgage anymore. So these things also combine. But what happens is like, well, both have equity in the house, the assets are being split, and if there's not enough assets to equally split it, then guess what? If all the assets are in the house, then sometimes they have to sell the house to liquidate the money they get out of there and to be able to split the money. Well, again, in that case, spouses don't like each other anymore. They don't want to sit there on this house for another year, or worst of it, perhaps even live together while they're getting divorced. So there's urgency, and urgency equals motivation. Another one is obviously the person has passed away. Estate sales, particularly if perhaps the house that they left behind is actually a little bit in disarray. Also, like typically in those cases, the simple thing would be just to sell it to a realtor. But the problem is that most realtors only know how to sell houses one way. And the way to sell these houses is by putting them on the market and getting a FHA kind of buyer to buy it. Now, what's an FHA kind of buyer? It's basically an end buyer that needs financing for the house. And here's the thing, if the house is in not good condition, if it's a fixer-upper, if it's a hoarder house, if the house has all kinds of issues, then the FHA or the government-backed loans are not available. The government loans are only available on pretty houses. So an ugly house in that case cannot be bought by an end buyer that needs a loan. So naturally, the only buyers for these houses are investors. And most realtors don't know how to operate with investors. So selling with a realtor is not always actually an option for a seller because, again, most realtors don't have a clue how to take that deal and actually sell it. So as a result, what happens is investors are the natural buyers. Now, in the land space, in lands and lots, most actually properties are owned free and clear. So the motivational factors there are sometimes slightly different. In some cases, just simply that the owner passed away. The heirs now have a property and they have to pay property taxes every single year. They don't want to pay property taxes anymore because they didn't inherit something in order to have to pay for it every year. They inherited something in order to actually make money. Heirs, as it says in the industry, heirs don't want land. Heirs want money. Again, so an heir is also emotionally unattached. It's a piece of land that my grandpa had. I never seen it. I never cared about it. I never want to go out there. I never want to do anything with it. It takes money out of my pocket because I have to pay property taxes every year. I don't want this thing anymore. Let me actually give it up. So as a result, what we actually find is that house sellers, you have to negotiate hard to get them to reduce the price by like 30-40%. So you buy it at 60 cents on the dollar. Land sellers very frequently give you 60, 70, 80% discounts. So as a result, you can pick up pieces of land often for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. As a matter of fact, I've had pieces of land that I bought for $57. I even gotten pieces of land I got for free. So again, right here, if you open your mind a little bit beyond houses and actually potentially look into land and lots, you can find deals at 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar that you can flip and mark up and sell it at half market value and make even more money than the house flippers do with land and get them from even more motivated sellers that simply just don't care. By the way, what do you think about this? If this is interesting to you, put in the comments what you think about these different options of land, houses, motivated sellers. What have you seen in the market? Who is your motivated sellers? What do they typically say? Sometimes another reason that a seller is motivated is also that they're just sick and tired of dealing with the problems that come with their property. In the housing world, it might be bad tenants that destroyed their properties. Now, they destroyed the properties and the landlord, the owner, doesn't have the money to go fix it. So now they have a property that cannot be inhabited, that perhaps gets broken into, where homeless people stay in there. And it gets worse and worse and worse. And at some point of time, they just throw up their arms and they say like, you know what? I just want to get rid of that deal. That happens a lot. Same happens on land. Guess what? Again, there's weeds that come in. There's property taxes. There's all these different things. At some point of time, life and circumstances change. The sellers move away. The sellers basically wanted to perhaps build a house there and retire there, but now their grandbabies are born and they don't want to move away from their location and stay close to the family. And the dream of building that home in retirement actually went out the window, or perhaps health doesn't allow them to move there anymore. There's so many different reasons why sellers just don't want to move to these properties. And again, and hiring a realtor is not always the answer. Because on the land side, most realtors don't know how to list a piece of land. They do a crappy job with it. They don't get the best offers in there. And many times a piece of land just sits there because the realtor doesn't know what to do. We have other videos right here in our channel where I show you exactly how you can sell land without dealing with a realtor. So go check those out. But then also on the house flipping side, it's the exact same thing as I already mentioned. Most realtors deal with pretty houses and qualified buyers and so on. And if this house is not in optimal condition, most realtors don't know how to do this. Come into the picture, wholesalers. That's what wholesalers do. That's where wholesalers actually fill a gap in the market. They take the ugly houses, they take the land that the people don't want anymore, they put them on a contract, they know how to market these properties properly, they know how to pass them on to a fix and flipper or to an end buyer and how to get this thing done. They know how to offer seller financing on those deals and actually make land cash flow. And as a result, they can take an ugly property and make it pretty and pass it back on and bring it back into the hands of somebody that makes it the gem of the neighborhood. So a lot of people talk bad about wholesalers and real estate investors and so on, but really what they're providing is an ability to take a neighborhood and make it better. So with that said, I have a gift for you. If you enjoyed this, very simply, I have a 7-part series that shows you exactly how to wholesale and actually get cash flow from one of these asset classes that I just talked about. So very simply, there's a 7-part series called 7 Days of Land Flipping, where I show you how you can wholesale land, how you can find the most motivated of motivated sellers, just like I said in the video, where you can get land deals for $57 sometimes even for free, but on a very, very daily average, where you can get pieces of land, not just at 60 cents on a dollar, but actually at 10 or 20 cents on the dollar. So if you want to get the real motivated sellers, what we call the non-wanters, then simply go into one of the playlists on my channel, or just watch. We might be able to just bring it in here. Click on the videos right here and watch the 7 days of land flipping. Enjoy it and let me know if you have any questions.